All right, so the next step is very simple. We're simply gonna clean the bearings and all these little bolts, okay? It has probably a lot of old grease on it, so just get like a microfiber cloth and start taking off as much of the grease as possible, okay? You can use like window cleaner, like a degreaser like that, or even some Dawn soap works really well, or just dish soap if it's really bad. But for the most part, like it just wipes off really easily. And again, we're just trying to clean it so that when we put the new oil in there, it won't be gunked up, because what you want is for when you spin this to just spin really freely. So getting rid of all the old gunk will really help with that. And this is where you can use something like this to kind of get in there, and it'll just take it right off. So I don't know if you can see that, but I just removed all that gunk in like 3 seconds. Okay, and then we'll do the bearings. We'll come in here, see how it's very, I don't know if you can see, it's very dark. It's very red, full of old oil. And you take this and you just clean it up. And see, now it'll be very clean when I'm finished up. Okay, don't worry about, like, make sure you keep these felts, okay? And it's okay if these still have oil in it, it's fine. So just don't let them dry out. All right, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here and we're gonna clean this off. So I just rub this down. It's already pretty clean. I've seen some other ones that are very dirty. Okay, but see how we got all that off? And I'm just gonna go through and make sure this is spotless. All right, I will go through and I will wipe the wires down, make sure there's no oil on the wires. And then we're also gonna go in here, and to clean this out, I just like to use like an old shirt or something, and then I just kind of get it in there. You can even use like a screwdriver, kind of get it in there, and just kind of scoop out as much of that old oil. So this is what it looks like to start, and we're gonna see it's already pulling off a lot of junk. And I just like to really get the shirt in there. And then I just kind of pull out basically as much as you can. All right, and already it's coming off. You can see how this part is white. It's because I've already been able to remove a lot of the oil. So I'll work on that. And then the other thing you got to do, you want to be gentle here. So these, I believe, are the copper kind of conduits. And you're just going to go through, and I don't spray anything on it, but I just clean this up. Just wipe it down and get all the dust out, as much dust out as you can. Okay. This one's actually a lot cleaner now than when I started. And I go back in here and get as much as possible. You can even get an air gun, like like one of those things you can clean a keyboard with. Make sure you get as much dust out as possible. And then for this thing always looks pretty gross, okay? But we also want to clean this off. So what I do is I just come in here and I just see how it starts rubbing off really easily. And I just gently, this is like some very soft metal, so I wouldn't get too crazy on it. But the goal is just, again, to okay. And I won't bore you by doing the whole thing, but basically get it as clean as possible. All this can all be cleaned up. So just try to rub it down everywhere and do your best. Like that, okay? And we'll get this all cleaned up. So just work on that for a while, do your best. It doesn't have to be perfect. And it'll look much better, and it'll run much better once you're done cleaning it. So that's what I'm gonna work on now. And then we'll come back and show you the next steps. All right, so we're back. I've taken the time to clean all the parts, so this is totally full, or not full of grease, it's free of grease. I took this, I cleaned all the parts, and they're all pretty nice and shiny now, and most of the gunk, or all of the gunk, is gone. So now that I finished that, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the baggie so they don't get lost. And then I've also gone through and I've like cleaned up the shaft and cleaned up the wiring. And then I took some glass cleaner, which I think works pretty well for degreasing. And I just kind of like cleaned up, you know, the actual housing itself, just to show you like what I do. And the reason I do that, just in case there's oil or lint, I just basically get it as clean as I can. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is also take off this sconce because I'm going to paint this. So this just comes off with the Phillips. All right. On this model, there's 2 screws, one to kind of hold it, you know, on the post, and then one to actually hold the 2 sides together. No, not quite, almost. My hands are always too big, so it doesn't want to cooperate because I'm on video, of course. Essentially, oh, of course, sorry, 2 screws. Duh. All right. All right, so this comes out. All right. Screw fell out, but interestingly, these are actually metal. One of the other ones of the same group that I did, that one actually is plastic. So these are metal. I dropped the screw down here, but when I'm done with the video, I'll pick it up and I'll go ahead and also drop it in the bag. So everything is together, okay? So everything is cleaned up. I also cleaned this. I used the glass cleaner to get off all the grease. If you look in the inside now, it's pretty much back to white, you know, 95% there, but it's good enough to be nice and clean. So the next step is to actually paint it. And I'll go over that in the next video to how to start prepping for the paint, okay?